Right, so those are key comments that we have been picking up from the corporates. But let's welcome in our guests for the show. Raghvendra Kedia and Dyaneshwar Padwal join us. Raghvendra, let me come to you first. How do you think that the markets will be taking this cabinet announcement over next week and from a longer term perspective?
Good afternoon. We believe that this will be a welcome move and the street will actually be joyful about the finance minister announcement as well as other announcements which are very sensitive to the market in terms of the railway, in terms of the commerce, and also on the external affairs ministry. So yes, this move would be taken as a though slight positive surprise, but on the positive side. So we believe that overall allocation of the portfolios is a welcome move from the street's point of view, and the market will trade with a positive bias in the days ahead, at least for the next 2 weeks.
Right, so that's with regards to where a fundamental view comes. Dyaneshwar, let me come to you as well. Going into next week now, it is a truncated week as well. Now, Nifty also hit a record high. I mean, we did cross the 12,000 mark in today's day of trade. Sensex crossed the 40,000 mark as well in today's day of trade. And you had Bank Nifty, which was trading again at record high levels. Now, what's the sense that you're picking up from here on? What are the key levels we should be watching out for over next week?
Good afternoon, Hiral. Get the overall chart sector of Nifty on a higher time frame, mainly on weekly. So we have seen that the last week Nifty has posted a minor gain, but one thing which traders should look out for the next week, that is last week Nifty has posted a 12,040 high, and in last week and last week also Nifty has posted a 12,040 high. So that could be a very strong resistance for the bulls. If bulls manage to take out that level, then only we may see the further escalation towards the 12,200, 12,300 mark. And simultaneously, if we look at the support level, so last week the Nifty has posted a low of 11,800. So that could act a very strong support for an next week. And compared to the Bank Nifty, if you talk about the Bank Nifty, yes, as already you told about that the some buying has been seen in the private sector as well as the public sector banks. So that is a positive sign for the Bank Nifty. But we are seeing that the Bank Nifty is facing a very strong resistance near about 31,800 mark. And on a lower side, 31,000 could be act as a very strong support. So that could be the range for the next week.
Right, so that's with regards to Nifty as well as Bank Nifty. Apart from this, in terms of the Bank Nifty as well, Dyaneshwar, we will need a lot of participation that will have to come in from the private banking space. If you could just help us understand from Bank Nifty, if someone has to actually bet on the private banking space, which would your top recommendations be for next week?
Yeah, if you look at the private sector bank, so I could say the HDFC Bank is moving in a clear uptrend. And recently, we have seen that the HDFC Bank is moving in a very tight range of 2450 on a higher side and 2400 on a lower side, and we are at the 2425. So risk reward ratio would be quite favorable. So anyone wants to take position in a private bank, they can go for an HDFC Bank by keeping a stop loss of 2380 on a closing basis for an initial leg of up move towards the 2480.
Right. So, Dyaneshwar, between a Marico as well as a Nestle, because that's what actually Piyush was indicating as well, that these are looking like stocks that we should be watching out for next week. What would your call be, and would you have a recommendation on these two counters? And if yes, any target prices that someone should be watching out for?
Yeah, Hiral, of course, recently we have seen that the consumption sector has outperformed the key benchmark index. And you know, the once the momentums are priced tends to remain in motion, more or less in the same direction. So in that space, I would go for Marico because recently chart structure suggests that it is moving in a clear uptrend. And recently we have seen that the symmetrical triangle breakout has been given by the Marico and close above the triangle. So probably the next target could be 390 400 level for an Marico by keeping a stop loss of 350. And also, if you look at the Hindustan Unilever in the same pack, so Hindustan Unilever has been consolidated from since last 4 to 5 months, and recently the Bulls is facing the first line of defense near about 1805 level. If Bulls manage to take out the 1805 level, then only probably we may see the further escalation towards the northern trajectory, and a chart could move towards uncharted territory.
Right, so that's the call coming in from the consumption pack as well that we have been watching out for, which is one of the beaten sectors. Dyaneshwar, anything from the auto pack that looks interesting? Because on that front as well, we have seen a lot of weakness that has already come in onto charts from the likes of Tata Motors, because if you see the index itself is down almost 3.5% for the week. Any recommendations and good entry points that you can find?
Yeah, from that first space, I go for Hero Moto because recently we observed that the intermediate trend line on a higher time frame charts like a monthly. So Hero Moto has taken a support near about 2600 mark, and it is giving the bounce back from the current level. And if you look at the oscillator like an RSI, it is showing that the hidden divergence has been placed where the RSI is making new low and price is not managed to make a new low. So that is a buying opportunity foreign traders for a short term to mid term. So one can go long at the current market price by keeping a stop loss of 2500 for an initial leg of move towards the 2900.
So, 1 month perspective on Kiri Industries, Deepak Nitrite, as well as JK Paper, a re-rating candidate that could be on the annual. But out of time, Dyaneshwar, very quickly, two top calls from your end.
Yeah, Hiral, I for betting trades, that is the first of. Because recently we have seen that the 9 days of consolidation uh, on the last week, on the last trading session, we have seen that the renewed strength is clearly observed on the chart, and the first line of defense placed near 560 marks. So bulls may take out that 560 marks and march towards the northern trajectory. So traders can keep a stop loss of 540, 545 level. And second stocks could be Cummins India because recently we have seen that the on a lower time frame charts mainly on hourly. So chart is moving in a clear uptrend and the renewed strength is clearly observed in the charts. So one can go long by keeping a stop loss of 775 on a closing basis for an initial leg of move towards the 850 marks.
United Spirits as well as Cummins India, two counters that we should be watching out for from a technical perspective as well. But thank you, Raghavendra, as well as Dyaneshwar, for joining us on the show. In fact, that's all that we have on this edition of Markets Next Week. News and updates continue on the other side. Please stay tuned.